The following program may contain subject matter and language suitable for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome to another episode of The Meltdown. My name is Norm.
And my name is Jeff.
And we are going to be talking today about one of my favorite subjects, and that is food.
Food.
Jeff, before we begin, what's your favorite food? Most favorite in the world?
Well, over the years it's been pizza, but now that I'm a vegan, you can still eat pizza just without cheese.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say pizza without cheese.
So dough is your favorite food?
No, see that's the meat eater's mentality.
Okay.
They think, oh, you're going to be lacking in something. That's often how meat eaters react. Oh,
Okay.
So you're basically not eating anything at all, which is completely untrue.
Okay, so just describe to me how you would make a vegan pizza.
Just anything but cheese.
So you have the dough,
Yeah.
and then you put stuff on it.
Sauce, spinach. Like
Okay.
I have, this is more flatbread pizza,
Okay.
but I'll make like with pizza sauce and spinach, and it's delicious.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Now there is such a thing as dairy-free cheese, like
Yeah, you
made
can
out
add
of other stuff.
You can add dairy-free cheese as well. I
Okay.
tend not to. I find that, excuse me, dairy-free cheese tends not to melt very well. It's good raw, so to speak, or cold. But I just find for myself it doesn't melt very well. So that's why I tend not to put
Okay.
dairy-free cheese on my pizzas. But that certainly is an option for people.
Okay, that makes sense. All right, so all you vegans out there, enjoy your pizza. Grab a slice, sit down and watch the show, and let's begin with some Meltdown fun facts. So we're going to be taking a look at 10 foods that are made in Canada. Now, some of these are obvious. I think you could probably already guess what a couple of them are, but some maybe not so obvious. So let's start with number one, which is poutine.
Yeah.
Poutine originated in the province of Quebec, and they are very proud of that distinction. Since its inception back in the 1950s, creative hands have put their own mark on this Canadian dish. If you're in Toronto, you will find poutine shops all over the city and many restaurants who carry their own unique take. From lobster to foie gras, there are so many versions, it could be a challenge just to choose one. If you've never had it, just go simple, with just cheese curds and gravy on your nicely deep-fried fries. So, what about vegan poutine? So you could use the gravy you're good with, the fries you're good with.
Well,
Right?
it'd have to be vegetable-based gravy. So French fries, vegetable-based gravy, and non-dairy cheese. You could do it that way for sure. And
Cool.
yeah, you could, and spinach. I'm a big spinach. I'm a big spinach person.
I like the spinach. All right, number two, made in Canada, pea meal bacon, otherwise known as Canadian bacon. Canadians love their bacon, but what the world has come to know as Canadian bacon is something that every visitor should try once. Pea meal bacon is the back bacon from the pork loin. The reason why it is called pea meal is because boneless pork loin would be rolled in dry ground yellow peas after it has been dried. This was done for preservation purposes. The most popular way of eating pea meal bacon is having it with your breakfast, accompanied by eggs and hash browns. The best way to have it is in a bun and eat it as a sandwich with some good mustard. By the way, Canada supplies over 75% of the global supply of mustard.
Oh, yeah.
How's that? That's an added fact today, folks.
Yeah.
An added
I
fact.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Mustard, Canada.
Did you know this was made in Canada or invented in Canada? Hawaiian pizza.
Ah,
Most would be confused to learn that the pizza with ham and pineapples was born in Canada. The now famous Hawaiian pizza was born in the most unlikely of places. A restaurant owner in a small town in Ontario called Chatham came up with the combo back in the 1960s. Sorry, Hawaii, but this Polynesian-influenced pizza did not come from the land of aloha. So there you go. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I didn't know it was created in Canada. I just assumed Hawaii for obvious reasons. But there you go. I'm not surprised though that it was created in Canada or United States. If you told me the United States, I would have believed you, since pizza was basically created
That's
in the
right.
United States. So Canada, there you go.
The pizza that we know, anyway.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
So here's another Canadian creation, pizza sushi, also known as sushi pizza.
Yeah.
There is some debate as to where this take on sushi came from, but we can definitively say that it is a Canadian creation of the beloved Japanese delicacy. Essentially, it is a hamburger bun-sized patty of rice that is then deep fried where the outside is crispy. You can have various toppings, but usually you'll find it with either raw salmon or tuna or both. Another topping that is popular is barbecued eel. The pizza sushi will often come with a spicy mayo, but you can find various toppings depending on where you go. It's a delicious way for people to have sushi, and this Canadian creation has become a favorite in Toronto and throughout the country. Obviously, this article was written in Toronto because they, it is the center of the universe after all.
Yeah.
So,
Did you say Toronto and the rest of the country or something?
yeah, I did. Look at that. I'm guilty.
Well,
I guess
you
it is.
You didn't write it, though, did you?
I guess it is the center of the
Yeah.
universe.
Well, there are various sports networks in Canada that exist now. I mean, TSN was called the Toronto Sports Network. But that's a whole other topic.
That's a whole other topic. We'll save that one for another season. Here's another one: split pea soup. Born in Quebec, same place as poutine, this famous soup has its roots in Canada. The anchor of this soup is the ham bone with a base that consists of dried yellow split peas. Most Canadians probably don't know that this wonderful and comforting soup comes from their homeland. This could potentially be the greatest export Canada has given to the world. There really isn't a better way to warm up in the cold Canadian winter than with a bowl of hot and thick split pea soup. So what do you think of that? Do you like split pea soup? Or
yeah,
pea soup?
I have
whatever,
to be careful, though. I have to read the label because sometimes there's lard in some pea soups.
Right.
But I do like pea soup for sure. Yes, it's definitely good, whether it's split pea or whatever version you're talking
Or
about.
joined pea. I don't mind even joined pea or double pea soup,
Yes.
which would be that would be the opposite, right? Double pea as opposed to split because you go from half to
you're
two.
right.
So
And then
scientifically
you go to
speaking,
4 and then to 8.
then they tell two peas, they tell two peas, and so
But you need
on.
a really big bowl.
Yeah, you might for double pea, yeah. Not so much for joined pea. Okay, here's another one, and I love these. I don't know if you love them or not, but we'll find out. Butter tarts.
Well, I can't.
No reaction?
Well, when I was eating dairy, butter tarts for sure are delicious.
Okay.
Yes, desserts. But I'm also off sugar, so I'm being kind of a drag here. Just 'cause.
Yeah, but
but
Don't worry
butter
about it,
tarts
Jeff.
are delicious. Butter tarts are delicious.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
As I recall, they were delicious.
Yes, and that's a Canadian creation.
It is.
Say, Norm?
Butter tarts
Wow.
is Canadian.
Wow.
Yeah. If there's something definitively sweet that comes from Canada, you don't have to look much farther than the butter tart. This delightful dessert is small and wonderfully delicious, just like Jeff said. There is nothing here that would be anything less than indulgent. A pastry shell that is filled with sugary goodness. Don't be surprised to see these delectables with raisins or nuts. It's sticky, it's sweet, and all good. Except, like, as you said, it's filled with sugar. And of course, today, we're learning so much more about sugar and how dangerous it really is. Probably it's a killer, at least the way it's processed, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. And this one I think you knew, Nanaimo bars,
Yes.
right? A no-bake dessert bar is a staple in many office parties or catered events. This truly Canadian treat comes from the town of Nanaimo, British Columbia, and typically made with a mix of graham cracker crumbs, vanilla custard, chocolate, coconuts, and walnuts. You may find other versions that have peanut butter and even with chocolate mint. Any way you have it, it is a very unique treat and all Canadian. So how's that?
Yeah.
All right, here's another one that you may not know is Canadian. This one was invented in Canada, ketchup chips. If there's a snack that is distinctly Canadian, you don't have to look much farther than your local convenience store and grab yourself a bag of ketchup chips. I've heard it said that the most missed snack that Canadians wish they had when they move to another country is this salty and savory potato chip. Have some wet naps close by because when you're finished, your fingers will be dyed red. Which is true. Love ketchup chips. They've got a really, really unique flavor, and it doesn't even taste like ketchup. I don't think. It's just got a really, really cool kind of flavor, and I love them. Don't have them often, though, you know. Here's another one. Kraft dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Kraft dinner was created right here in Canada. Kraft, the monster global company, has a Canadian staple, Kraft dinner. Some would even say that it is a quasi-national dish. To Americans, it is just known as mac and cheese, which is short for macaroni with cheese, obviously. Canadians eat more of this than anywhere in the world, and it may very well be the most purchased item bought from our supermarkets. It really is a cheap meal, and it is a simple macaroni and cheese. However, when you can buy a box for as little as 99 cents, how can anyone really go wrong with that? And of course, there's a lot of macaroni and cheese knockoffs, right? Like you can buy different kinds. I know even supermarkets sell their own brand, and sometimes you can get them for as cheap as 50 cents a box. And our last made in Canada, which should be obvious to absolutely everyone living on the planet, is maple syrup. Accounting for more than 75% of the world's supply, Canada is a powerhouse in this delicious complement to your pancakes or waffles. Maple syrup can be found in all sorts of things in Canada, from maple bacon, maple donuts, maple latte, and maple cookies. There is no shortage of ways Canadians use maple syrup. This is probably one of the most popular items to give as gifts when Canadians travel outside of Canada, and one of the most popular amongst tourists who visit and they take back home. All right, there you go. 10 delicious foods that were invented right here in Canada. I don't know about you, Jeff, but I am starving. So perhaps you should grab a vegan burger and I'll grab a regular burger. And let's take a break as we go to Lou Saracino and a Meltdown Minute with Lou.
Food, glorious food. That's how the song goes, right? Food is awesome, folks. And being Italian, I'm going to let you in on a little secret, all right? In case you didn't know, by the way, Italians have 2 kitchens, one in the basement, one upstairs, because food is a big part of our lives. This is how big a part of our lives it is. When I was baptized, my baptism gift was a leg of prosciutto. Swear to God, leg of prosciutto. Whole leg. Delicious. My point is that our association, our relationship with food when I was a kid was with food that was actually healthy and good for you, and you understood where it came from. And my mom had a garden in our backyard. You know, she'd have tomatoes and peas and whatever. I mean, I'd have no hockey sticks, clearly, because they're in the garden. My point is that we understood and we appreciated good food, you know? But it's funny how when you're a kid, you don't want the things you have, right? You want what other people have. And I'll give you an example. When I was in high school, if I'd go and have lunch at our cafeteria, and there'd be like, you know, people next to me, they'd take it out there like Spam sandwiches and like peanut butter and jelly. And then I'd go over to my family-sized Loblaws brown grocery bag, and then I'd pull out like a candelabra, oh, it's a charcuterie plate. That's lovely. Oh, cheese tray. Here we go. You see what I mean? And I was all like, I'm embarrassed because this is very Italian. You know what I mean? And only now can I look back and go, prosciutto's good.
Thank you very much, Lou. And now for some Meltdown stupidness. All right, here we go. For our stupidness today, we have 10 facts you might not know about food waste. Here we go. 1.3 billion tons of food are wasted every year. This amounts to $1 trillion of wasted or lost food. If wasted food was a country, it would be the 3rd largest producer of carbon dioxide in the world after the United States and China. Just 1/4 of all wasted food could feed the 795 million undernourished people around the world who suffer from hunger. Food waste in rich countries, amounting to 222 million tons, is approximately equivalent to all of the food produced in sub-Saharan Africa, which is 230 million tons. A European or North American consumer wastes almost 100 kilograms of food annually, which is more than his or her average weight of 70 kilograms. A European or North American consumer wastes 15 times more food than a typical African consumer. Lack of technology and infrastructure is the main cause of food waste in Africa, as opposed to household food waste in the developed world. Food waste in Europe alone could feed 200 million hungry people. And our last food waste stupidness today: Food waste generates 3.3 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which accelerates global climate change. So there you go. It's not all about pollution or automobile. It's also, about food and waste and all that stuff.
Well, it's a whole buffet mentality, I find. I find that let's say Canadians, Americans, we eat too much to begin with. And I noticed that, at restaurants, I've stopped going to restaurants. I mean, I go to restaurants. I don't go as often as I used to. But man, they pile everything on one thing on top of another. And I'm like, that's not good. Even if it's vegetables or whatever, it's too much. It's too much. And I find that we eat too much in society. It's funny. Somebody did this study now. It may not have too much validity, but it's interesting. And they were looking at pictures of paintings of the Last Supper, because apparently there have been various paintings of the Last Supper, not just Da Vinci's obviously famous one. Yeah. And they noticed that the older the painting, the less food there is in the painting of the Last Supper. Now, that could be just circumstantial evidence, but I think it's interesting that it lends to the fact that perhaps in the 21st century, we eat more than people 100 years ago, who ate more than people 100 years before that, etc. Yeah. I think that in general, for those of us who are fortunate to be able to have access to food, that we eat too much. Now, on the other side, the sad point is that there are a lot of people that are that have a lack of nutrition, have a lack of access to food, and that's obviously not good.
I think if you look back to the origin of the buffet, it was to provide choice, not quantity.
Exactly.
And what we've done in North America is we've said, hey, there's choice, wow, and quantity. For this one low price, I can stack it all on there. Anyway, next week we're going to be taking a turn from our typical topic, and we're going to be talking about UFOs. And we're going to be taking a look at some neat stuff about UFOs. So we'll leave that until next week. Until then, my name is Norm.
And my name is Jeff.
And this has been The Meltdown. We'll see you next week.